So just to rehash, welcome back from break. We loaded up our dependencies, we included our model definition, and then we included also our app.js. Alright, and in our reminder definition, all we're doing is we're creating a new variable, reminder model, camel cased, and we're just extending the backbone model properties to it. So all the functionality of a backbone model, we're now going to include it into our reminder model. That's all we did on lines 1 through 3. Okay, very simple. All right, and then in our browser, what we did was we instantiated a new reminder by doing new var reminder equals new reminder model, and we invoked the function. And then we just typed in reminder to return the reminder object. Cool. Any questions thus far? Process. All right. Now what we're going to learn is how to set and get attributes for a backbone model. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of different ways in order to do this. So one way we can do this is we have a reminder model. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. We can do reminder dot set, and then we have parentheses here. And inside the parentheses, there's a couple different arguments you can have. You can pass in an object with a whole bunch of key value pairs, or you can pass in two values, the first value being the key and the second value being the value. So if I do body, and then I pass in learn backbone, like this, and I hit enter, now it returns the reminder again, but just to make sure, I'll just hit reminder. It returns the reminder object. We'll dive into this object. We'll go into the attributes. Now you can see that it has an attribute. Its attribute is the body, and the value of that is to learn backbone. Cool. So just to rehash again, I can do something like this, dot set. I can do completed, and I can do false. So if I go and do it again, I can see that now I have two attributes. One is the body, which is learn backbone, and the second attribute is completed, and it's false. So that's one way I can set a reminder. So now I'm just going to create another reminder, reminder 1, reminder model. So now I have a new reminder. If I do reminder 1, I can return that object and see that its attributes are nothing. Alright, so I just made a new reminder, that's all I did. And now with reminder 1, I'm going to call .set again, but this time I'm going to pass in an object. And this object is going to have a body. What should our reminder be? Anyone? What? Take a nap. Alright, and then I'm just going to put a comma here, and I'm going to put completed, and of course it's false, because we want to take naps. And we haven't completed that yet. So now if I go to reminder 1, I can look at my object, I go to attributes, and now I have take a nap, and it's false. Cool. So a couple things I want to take note of is now that I have two objects, I can see that my CID is now C2. And if I go to reminder, the original reminder, I can see that its CID is C1. And there are two different instantiations of this object. So again, I have learn backbone here, and I have take a nap up here. So again, dot set can either take two arguments, the first being the key, second being the value, or it can take an object of multiple key value pairs.
Could you go back to reminder 1 set where you did body completed?
Say again?
Could you go to reminder 1 dot set where you did body completed?
Sure. And what I can do, sorry, go ahead.
Can you set attributes when you instantiate the model, or
Yes, yes you can. And I'll go into that in a second. Cool. So what I want to do is in my app.js, I'm just going to put that stuff inside my ready function, just to show you guys. Reminder model, and then I'm going to do reminder.set body learn backbone. This is not going to have the completed. Equals reminder model reminder 1 dot set body take a nap. Again, this you'll never do this, but I just want to show you so I don't have to keep typing it out every time I refresh the page. False. So if I go ahead and refresh the page, oh god. Index.
Isn't it supposed to be new reminder model?
Yes. Thank you, Ali. It is. Cool. Alright, so now if I do reminder, thanks Ali. Reminder is not defined. Var reminder. That's interesting. Why is it not defined? Let's try doing no var and make it globals. Yeah, I don't know why var reminder there. Do you know why, Adam?
Yeah, it's because you're inside of a function. So
Oh,
scopes you to that function.
cool.
You're the nested.ready function.
You're right. I forgot about that. Cool. So we're just going to use globals here. All right. So as we can see, we have reminder 1 and reminder. Same thing as I did before. We can see that the attributes is learn backbone, and for this one, it's take a nap. False. Cool. And just like Allison was saying before, we can also do something like this. Reminder 2 equal to new reminder model. And then we can just pass in here, body. What's the reminder that we want, guys?
Eat your spinach.
Eat your spinach. Love it. And then we'll just have completed equals false. And if we go into reminder 2, we can see that we have a new object. Its attributes are eat your spinach and it's false. Cool. Any questions on set in the initial instantiation of a model?
You slack out that code, then you just type in.
This code right here?
Yeah.
I'll just do the whole thing.
Sorry, so this code
Say that again. So DJ's question is, would this code normally happen? And the answer to that is no. This is just to show you instantiation of models using the reminder model. Just because I don't want to put it in the console constantly and redefine it every single time. Cool. Good question. But again, this is ultimately not what you're going to do in practice. This is just to show you what the reminder model is doing and what the backbone.model.extend is doing. Cool. So another way we can set attributes of a model is we can actually set defaults, just like we did in Rails, or in our class for our initialize for Ruby. So in our defaults, I want my completed to be false. Anytime we instantiate a new model, I want it to be false. Cool. Alright, so now I think we can do this. We can just go ahead and get rid of this line, because we don't need that anymore. We can go ahead and get rid of this line. We don't need that anymore as well. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Go back into my browser. Refresh. Gonna get all our reminders. I'm gonna check the third one first. Its attributes. It has false, even though I did not define it in this document.ready. Let's check reminder 1. It also has false. And then reminder, the original reminder, the one that started them all, is also false. Cool. Alright, so just because we are setting initial attributes doesn't mean we can't override the initial set. So what if I just ate a can of spinach right now and I wanted to complete it? I'm going to go ahead and do reminder.to, as you were, reminder2.set. And then I'm going to make this completed true. Now if we go back to reminder2, we can see that we have now ate our spinach. We have eaten our spinach. Spinach has been consumed.
Wait, sorry, can you show that again?
Yeah, sure. So just because earlier we were setting initial values, key value pairs, we can also overwrite existing key value pairs. Cool. Alright. And so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is something that's generally bad practice. It's something that you don't want to do. And I'll explain why in a second. Alright. So something else I can do is, you'll notice that when I go into a reminder, I'll just go into the first reminder. This is basically an object. And I can just actually access the attributes themselves. So I can do reminder.attributes. And it returns the object of the attributes. This isn't bad practice, really. I've done this frequently. But if I were to do reminder.attributes.completed equals true, I can set my attributes that way as well. So now if I look at my reminder again, and I go into my attributes, I now see that completed is true. Not knowing anything about Backbone, why would you guys think that this is bad practice?
It's not set everything true.
What's that? No, it's kind of a nuanced thing. So really, I'm directly accessing my object at this point, and I'm overriding values. All right. And the reason why this is bad, specifically in Backbone, and it's not really bad practice in any other framework probably, but with regard to Backbone, is the .set is actually an event. It's an event in Backbone, which Adam and Jeff are going to be talking a lot more in depth about. But just to highlight it a little bit, when I call .set, it triggers an event. And you can actually add a callback to that event. When I do .attributes.completed, though, it doesn't do .set. It's not triggering that event. So if we wanted to add an event listener to something being changed on our model, we couldn't do it if we were changing our attributes this way, right? We can only do it if we're changing our attributes with the .set method, which is generally speaking why you want to use .set versus .attributes. Whatever the attribute name is equals. All right, does that make sense? Chad?
So .set triggers an event to change the model.
Yeah, so Chad's question was, does .set trigger an event to change the model? And the answer to that is yes, it does. Preston? Yeah. Here is the reminder.js. Cool. So while we're talking about events, I just want to go briefly over something else. In Backbone, there's also, like Ruby, classes. Inherently with it is an initialize method. Alright, so in this initialize method, I'm going to do just a generic reminder was created. Cool. So now if we refresh the page, since we're instantiating three of these models in our document.ready, we should get 3 reminders were created. So we'll go ahead and see that. Cool. Because we instantiated 3 new models, we are now going to get this initialize function being proc'd 3 times. Sure. This?
No.
Oh yeah, sure. Cool. And the reason why I want to bring this up now is because we were just talking about events. Alright? Why do you guys think that an initialize method is important for a model? With regards to events. When we're talking about events. Chet?
Does it give them a lot of behavior?
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Can you expound upon that?
So that every time you make a new copy of that model, when you create the constructor function, it says, all right, this model has these attributes, but it also has these type of things.
Yeah, what are those types of things?
Right now, it's just constant.log.
Right now. But like with regard to events, right?
I don't know.
Is that like request?
Yeah, kind of. So like, basically, you can add event listeners right here in the initialize function. It's like, hey, I want to create an event listener so that anytime this model is changed, I want to re-render the view, something like that. Right? Cool. I just want to kind of gloss over this initialize thing, but this is going to be much more important in Adam and Jeff's lesson.
Is it wrong to look at this as like as the model being the constructor and the initialize being the prototype, or is that a similarity?
I mean, really, the model is a constructor that's based off the prototype of backbone.model. And then initialize is just an extension of that backbone model. It's just another added functionality that backbone gives us. But we're just explicitly defining it here. Like, under the hood, initialize does all this stuff. Like, it creates the CID, it makes this changing pending thing, it makes this entire object, basically, right? It's under the hood, that's what initialize is doing. It's doing all that stuff. I mean, who knows what it's doing? I don't know. A lot of stuff. Cool. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this because I don't want to see it every time. Alright, I'm going to refresh the page. Alright, so now we know how to set. How do you think we get stuff from a backbone model? Yeah, dot get. So if I wanted to get the completed status of my first reminder, all I have to do is this. Cool, I get false. Again, I could also do reminder.attributes.completed. I could also do, I think I can also do reminder attributes. Just feels weird writing this. I can also do that. But again, get and set are generally preferred over using .attributes. Don't want to use them.
And what did that attributes do again?
What's that?
What does that attributes do again?
.attributes is like, if we go into reminder, right, we can see that attributes is just a nested object within our reminder object itself. So doing .attributes is just gives us direct access to that object, right? So if I did reminder .attributes, it just returns the object that contains all the key value pairs of the attributes of that object. Yeah.
The way I think about it is attributes is like direct access to the data store as opposed to using the interface. So if we thought about like why we moved the Ruby from modeling data with hashes versus modeling data with objects, is that objects provide us an interface that we can use to control the data and perhaps add rules or validations. You can do that through set or get, but you couldn't do that through direct access to the attributes. Yeah, the attributes hash is like direct access access to the data. .get and set are like interfaces, they're methods, right? So .get and set could potentially allow you to do validation on the data that you're getting or setting, or apply some rules. So if you think about like modeling a car with a hash, if a car hash has a speed, you can change the speed to whatever you want. You make the speed negative, you make it a billion. But if you make a car object, which has an internal speed property or internal speed attribute, you can give it like a set speed method, which doesn't let the speed go over 120, things like that. So get and set are methods that provide an interface with some rules or constraints potentially, whereas attributes is like direct access. And usually we prefer an interface over direct access.
What's the use case for an interface? What do you guys think? Like, why might that be useful for it to have an interface versus just having direct access? Because ultimately, you might be thinking like, oh, I just want the information at hand, right? But why might an interface be useful?
Maybe because you don't have to kind of put anything in your business logic, but
Yeah, I mean, you could put business logic on top of that method, right? On top of that get or set method.
you don't necessarily to render that view. You don't have to put
Yeah.
any logic into it. You can just do it from the view,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. For example, if you did like a get method on a reminder and you were trying to get the body of it and its completed status was false, you could just like console.log, like you could add logic on top of your get method to be like, hey, remind this person to do this, or something like that. I don't know. That was a terrible example. Forget I said anything. But the idea is you can sit logic on top of those get and set methods, whereas you can't do that with just a direct access using attributes. Cool. All right. Any questions on getting and setting? All right. So now moving on to deleting. Cool. So we can also just get rid of an attribute. So if we do reminder.attributes, we see that we have this object. Completed is false. Body is learned backbone. I want to get rid of the body for no reason at all. I can just do .unset. So now if I do reminder.attributes again, I no longer have the body. If I wanted to get rid of all of the attributes, I can just do reminder.clear. Now I have an empty object. And I can also check and see if a certain model has a certain attribute as well. So if I do reminder1, which we haven't touched at all, and I do .has body, I get true. Cool. If I do the same thing with reminder that we just cleared everything off of, I will get false.
Just out of curiosity, can you do reminder had body, would that return true?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Reminder had body, would that return true?
No.
I don't think so. Why don't we check? .had body. Who knows? Maybe you have uncovered some useful backbone tool I don't know about. Oh, had not a function.
Nice.
Nice try. But why don't you make a pull request to the backbone source,
No.
and then maybe they'll incorporate it into it. Interestingly enough, I like that you asked that though, because if we go back into the reminder model, and we look at the reminder model, we see previous attributes. Interesting. So attributes is empty, right? We go to previous attributes. Completed is false. Notice it doesn't have learned backbone though. So there's some sort of state there, right? Because we deleted the body and then we cleared the reminder after that, right? So it's 2 steps. So it knew that it had 2 interactions. So it only records the last known interaction for previous attributes. I've actually, Adam, have you ever used previous attributes for anything? Can't find a use case. Think of a use case for it. Cool. All right. Cool. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule, which is awesome because I didn't think we were going to be ahead of schedule. But is there any questions about getting, setting, deleting attributes on a model that has function? Any questions thus far on instantiating or anything like that? Yeah, what's up?
Going back, you know how you have you instantiated the model itself? And you ran on the console, you showed it up 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Is that because we had 3 models already? Or 3?
Yeah, so Enoch's question was, remember earlier when I console.logged it, model was created, right? Reminder was created. He was wondering why did it pop up 3 times? The reason why it popped up 3 times is because in our app.js, we are literally creating a new model 3 times.
Okay.
And so when we create the model 3 times, we're going to call that initialize function 3 times as well. Cool. All right, awesome. So now what I want you guys to do is I want you to go into the Milk and Cookies repo, week 10, day 02, Backbone models and collections. And I want you to go to Backbone Jamjar Radio Static. Go into the starter folder. All right, Jamjar needs you. In case you didn't know, Jamjar is all of the instructor's initials. Jamjar needs you to build out their awesome new site. They're not sure where to start, but they know they want to use Backbone. How convenient. Models, create a working directory in your application. Inside this directory, create an index.html file. You're going to load all your CDNs. Then you're going to create a JS folder, create a models folder inside of that folder, create a song model.js. You're going to create 4 new instances of that, just like we did it in reminders. And then I just want you to open up your index.html and just play around with these different methods. And then stop before collections. All right, so go ahead and work on that. I'll go ahead and stop this screencast for now.